What up, everybody? Welcome back to the Freedom Real Estate Podcast, where we give you real strategies of how to be successful and financially free through your journey in real estate. We have my boy Artem here, and we have a really, really exciting guest, Wendell Butler. This guy's crushing it. Super excited. Give it a listen. Check it out. Welcome, Wendell. How you doing today?
Oh, man, I'm doing fantastic. And I'm glad we got this up and running. Excited to talk with you guys. And yeah, thanks for having me on. Looking forward to it.
Of course. Only took us multiple attempts, but Wendell here is actually one of our original crew from Worcester and one of the original members of our very, very first mastermind about, 4 years ago?
Yeah, had to be like three now? I think we ended it like 3 years ago, 2.5. And then we went our separate ways and cried a little bit. But hey, it's been great since. We always meet up. So we got the original Woo crew in the house.
Yeah, so Wendell is an original OG from the Worcester Mastermind, right? So we ended up getting I think 5 or 6 local investors that wanted to do big things in Worcester. We met every week. We held everybody accountable for our goals. And lo and behold, that mastermind went on to create some of the best investors in our market. It produced Ryan Emmerich. It produced you. You're pretty successful. It produced Artem. Artem has like 6 or 7 house acts under his belt. You know, I have a couple deals.
Only a couple deals.
Just a couple deals, nothing too crazy. But, all of us have been pretty successful in real estate because you surround yourself around people making it freaking happen.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, yeah, that's true. I mean, I think we went from, what did we go from, like 10 units to like 150 combined of the 6 people that were in there, the 5 people that were in there before we kind of parted ways. And that was within a year and a half or so. So that's it's pretty insane what happens when you put yourself around people that are like-minded and goal-oriented. You just start, being just oozing confidence and oozing just hitting goals, hold each other accountable.
I ended up getting my first syndication through that mastermind, a 69 unit in New Bedford, Massachusetts. Ryan Emmerich brought me that deal in that mastermind, right? That's right when I got a bigger pockets. And that's when I thought I had the ability to raise $1.8 million in my first raise. What an idiot, right? But I made it happen. I got it done. Right? So when, all right, let's stop reminiscing about the past. Let's go way back, way far back. Take us back to the beginning.
Your very first deal.
Yes. What was it like before you got into real estate? And what pulled you into real estate as a whole?
Yeah. So, I mean, before I even got into real estate, I was just your typical guy that was just following kind of what society maps you out to do, right? You graduate high school, you go to college, you figure out what you want to do when you're 16, 17, when you don't really know what you want to do, you don't understand anything. So I thought, hey, let's go towards the medical field and just try to be a doctor or a physician assistant or something, because that sounds good. It sounds high paying and it sounds pretty stable, right? So I had no idea or any thoughts of entrepreneurship. And a lot of people that get into real estate or become entrepreneurs, when they're children, they are trying to sell baseball cards or lemonade and stuff. And I never did that. I was just kind of do my own thing, play sports, go to school, get the high paying job and whatever. That's what my mind was. Until
So Wendell, you more or less just ran towards safety, right? You thought that this doctor, this high-paying job would be your means to just a normal, happy life.
Yeah, I would say in my brain, I thought that was the goal, right? To become a doctor, get the high-paying salary job,
But you also, did you even have any examples of any investors or business people that took a different path, or was that not even in your realm of possibilities?
Not in my family. I've had a distant, my mom's cousin did real estate investing in Southbridge, Mass, but he was kind of doing his own thing. I never really talked to him about it or knew about him too much until I got into it. But yeah, I was surrounded with people that didn't really look into that. They kind of went up the corporate ladder. Granted, luckily, like my dad and stuff went up the corporate ladder and he killed it. He became a vice president of regional distribution centers. So he crushed the corporate ladder game of kind of entrepreneurship, I guess, when you build your own way. But nothing entrepreneur wise. So yeah, I was always in my mind. I just always thought, that's the way to go. I was never taught anything different. And I would say I was that way until I just realized I hated school so bad that I needed some change. So I call it like a quarter life crisis, where I moved to Miami after college instead of going to get my master's right away, or a PA school. And I started hanging out with entrepreneurial people. I think that's when I started opening my eyes to like other options than just like a W-2 or, salary jobs. It opened my eyes to different ways to make, money, but like by yourself. You know what I mean?
So bring us back to 20-something-year-old Wendell. Like, bring us back to that exact aha moment where you realize that you've been doing this whole life thing wrong, and entrepreneurship was really the way towards financial freedom, but more importantly, time freedom.
Yeah. So I would say it wasn't until kind of my first deal, which wasn't even like a deal. I kind of fell into it and just started doing it. But I had the mind frame of like, I wanted to get into sales at least to have freedom. So I got like a sales job selling payroll. And with that job, when I moved back to New England after hanging out in Miami with entrepreneurs, I got into sales, payroll, bought my first condo with like a low down payment mass save program. I forget what it's called. The government state program where they let you like put no money down. And I bought that, and then I just was like renovating it while I lived there, and I had someone living in my room, not in my room, in my other guest room. And I started getting like income from that.
You were house hacking it more or less.
I was basically doing like a live and flip house hack in one with a condo, and I didn't even know what I was doing. But then I started.
That's quite the sexy cocktail, my friend.
I know, right? It's a spicy drink. But
Wait, so what made you buy the condo? Is this something that you knew about real estate investing, or you just wanted to buy a place just because that's what people do?
No, that's what people do. I was like, why am I renting? I could own a place that's gonna like appreciate. I didn't have any idea of like turning it into an investment or anything like that until maybe halfway through. Because then I got into lending when COVID was kind of popping off, and I learned about real estate, learned about how good of a investment it is. Obviously, COVID was kind of ridiculous, so it was kind of like a exaggeration of like what really goes on. It's like the high point of the cyclical market of real estate. But I started reading books, listening to podcasts, a lot of bigger pocket stuff, right? And then I realized, like, as I was doing my live and flip and house hack, condo hack, I realized that I made my property gain equity just from like kind of flipping the kitchen and stuff, doing little things, maybe like $20,000 worth. I made it go from like worth $140,000 what I bought it for, put 20 in, and it was worth like 225.
Nice.
So then fast forward, I end up being like, all right, let me sell it. Let me buy a duplex, the house hack, because I was reading Brandon Turner books, and he's like, house hack, house hack, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, cool, sounds good. And I think the aha moment is when I sold that property, and I lived there for a year, and I got a check of like 70 grand, and it was tax free because I lived there for a year. And I just like looked at it, and I was like, I just made the most money I did like in a day. That's the most I've ever made as a salary by just kind of living in this house, fixing it up a little bit, maybe spending like 15 hours of my time really doing anything, and making more than my salary tax free. And that was the kind of aha moment. I was like, Jesus, like there's other ways to make money. Like I had to work a whole year to make this, and I just sold this property and made that in like a minute. Granted, it took a year, but that was an aha moment.
To your point, I feel like truly the aha moment when you realize in this game of life, when you figure out how to leverage, other people and systems to create wealth, it's quite magical. Like I have a flip, 4 Vernon Street. I bought it for $325. I put $250 into it. It's selling for $830. I'm probably gonna make $90K in this thing, right? Like overall, I probably put in 20 hours of work.
Right? And you're not even doing any kitchen renovations.
Yeah, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I think I went to the property twice. Right when I bought it, and then when I looked at the end product once, right? But that just goes to show you, when you use your brain and you use systems and you get the right opportunity, you can create endless wealth with very little time.
Yeah, and like you don't realize that I don't think unless you're introduced to it or have kind of like a mentor or like see someone doing it that's close, honestly, because the way that society is written kind of forces you to think like you got to work hard to make money. You got to work this way to make money. You got to, use your hands. You got to put in the time, the hours, which you do to build the systems anyway, to do what we're talking about. But you can build it to the point that you don't have to spend as much time as you want to make much more income and wealth and then get much more freedom back. And just people don't know that, unfortunately.
And when we're growing our knowledge in our real estate portfolio, like we don't do it on our own. So give the listeners some idea of kind of some mentors that you had along the way that helped your journey.
Well, I think like we talked about the mastermind in the beginning. In the beginning, like I think all of us didn't really have like a mentor. We didn't really know where to go. So we kind of went to each other and we learned a lot from each other. And that alone was super helpful. And I think I got introduced to like John Babachi pretty quick. And like he wouldn't really mentor me too much, but just seeing what he was doing and watching what he was doing just like made me understand what you can do. And that alone was like enough to get me being like, all right, I got to start doing that stuff. And then like other mentors, like I've just, Andrew's one for sure. Like me and him have worked together a lot, and obviously his company has exploded. So like it's awesome to just have him very close to ask questions as I'm building my company in a very similar fashion. And then just like close people, like even Artem I've talked to, just people that like are doing the same thing. You can just ask questions to and learn from anybody around you. So I think that's huge. It's huge to just have someone to call when you're going through something that understands what you're doing. And then it can really help you like take the next step.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I love real estate, because real estate is not a competitive sport.
It's a team sport.
It's a team sport. It's very collaborative. Like we're all here to help each other, right? Like when you call me for an issue with a deal that went south, like I'm not looking to like screw you over and steal the deal from underneath you. Like I genuinely want to see your success and help you through this dilemma, right? I think that's why I love real estate, is because it's people have each other's back, right?
Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest misconceptions with real estate is it will achieve financial freedom instantaneously. And for me, for Artem, for you, that is absolutely not the case. All of us had to have a W-2 while simultaneously building that portfolio, right? And people view that as a negative, right? People view that like, I got to have a job. Well, I'm trying to work a second job or side hustle, but it's actually a positive because it makes you loanable to get these house hacks, to get these low owner occupied down payment loans to start scaling your portfolio with very little money, right? And I know that's kind of what you did to balance to build your portfolio. So like, let me ask you this one. How did you balance early on building your real estate portfolio while simultaneously working a W-2? And how can that advice, be helpful to our listeners?
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to just understand that everything you see on social media is not true. Almost 90% of it isn't true. So all these like gurus and social media, real estate gurus,
highlight reel.
people, they're just showing the highlight reels, and they're making it seem like it's so fast because they probably want to sell you a course, so like it takes a while. And yeah, a lot of people got rich pretty quick during COVID because you could buy a box and sell a box for like 3x on the side of the road during that. But the real investors that are kicking ass right now are the ones that built systems during that or after it and really understand like how to do it the hard way. And I've learned a lot of lessons just from like trial and error, So I would say if you're in a W-2 and you're trying to get into real estate investing or even start a business or anything, right? It's very important to use that as a stepping stool. Don't look at it as like a con or like a negative. Look at it as like a stepping stool to get you to the next portion of your life that you want to get to. So like what I did personally is I knew that I wanted to get into real estate in some type of way, right? So I said, why not become a lender? Because a lender is like a 9-to-5 type job. I'm getting a salary, I can get commission, but at the same time, they're paying me to learn about one of the most important things in real estate, which is finance, underwriting, understanding deals. So I looked at it like, hey, not only am I using this as a stepping stool to get my first house hack or investment or whatever, I'm actually getting paid to learn about something that I can take with me and then maybe, open up a lending company later, which I've done. I've opened up a private lending company. So like, it's important to not look at your W-2 as like a barrier or like a reason that you can't do something. look at it like, hey, I'm blessed that I have this W-2. I'm blessed that I'm getting paid routinely because, like Andrew said, one, it helps you get more loanable. You understand the cash flow coming in, and it allows you to just use it as a stepping stool to get towards that more financial freedom towards real estate, which takes a while. But I mean, the simplest thing you can do is just start with a house hack. And I'm sure every one of us here has started with a house hack. It's the most simple thing you can do because you get a little taste of real estate, right? You get a taste as a landlord. You get a taste of probably flipping because you get to do some renovations when you're there. You get a taste of underwriting and lending because you have to understand like how the rents have to cover the mortgage and blah, 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 and how it can help you get more, leverage. You understand loan leverage and like how amazing that can be. And especially when you work with like loan officers that understand that too, like they'll advise you and teach you too. But that's one way to look at it. I just, you especially nowadays with the economy, like you just have to be prepared to stay in your W-2 until you are comfortable enough or have a nest egg enough from those investments, side investments, to kind of take the leap. And then when you do that, like you can, as long as you keep the systems and you go all in, you can really explode. But yeah, I mean, it's just how it is today. Like I just, it's hard to jump from a W-2 quickly into real estate and be like super successful right off the bat,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can tell you, leaving a W-2 is absolutely scary. It feels like you're diving into the unknown. Imagine you're on a ship in the middle of a pond. It is so dark, you can't even see 1 inch in front of you, and you're expected to just dive into that bitch.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's what it feels like, right? But once you get into it, you feel how beautiful the water feels and how liberating it feels not to be trapped on that boat. And you realize, like, why the hell didn't I do this sooner, right? But, to Wendell's point, you have to prepare yourself to do that. You have to build the right foundation. You have to build the right support structure, just in case, if things don't go according to plan, you have some way, from drowning, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So let's transition into your first commercial deal. That was Putnam, Connecticut. And that's actually that's when I got to know you, is because that's the time that I remember you came and you spoke about at, I think, one of the very first meetups I came to in Worcester that Andrew was hosting. So if you can just run us through how that came about, how you found it, what kind of work you did, and then what your exit strategy was.
Yeah, for sure. So, I went from I went from a condo to duplex, then I immediately just went to an 8-unit because I think understanding the way that 5+ units work in like commercial real estate and being a lender as I was doing all that, I understood like the numbers and I was like, wow, like 5+ units is what I like because it just logically makes sense the way that it works and how you can force appreciation. So this 8-unit, the way I looked at it is like, hey, I have this duplex. I did really well on it. It's all set. An 8-unit is just a duplex 4 times. I'm like, you just do the same thing. And that's the way that I looked at it going into it. But I found it on Facebook. So, and people are going to be like, on Facebook. I think Facebook's one of the best places to find like off-market properties for like good deals. Yeah, it's a hustle. You got to like, reach out to people. There's a lot of tie kickers there, but it is one of the best places. And I saw it along Facebook and it came up and the guy posted about it and put like a price there. I didn't have any money to buy it. I didn't know, I couldn't afford it. I didn't understand like the whole process with it, but I offered, messaged him, found out all the details, showed that I was like actually, confident and like trying to learn more about it, like actually moving forward with like information rather than some people that might just comment and be like interested and like never get back to them. Like I was actually being loud in the squeaky wheel, which I think was part of the reason why he gave me a chance. And I remember I wrote him a letter too, and I was like, please, I'm trying to build my portfolio and you're an investor and I want to be an investor and something like that. I don't know. I don't even know if you read it, but it worked. But I made an offer and I was just like, hey, I'll buy this cash. I didn't have the cash. And I was like, I'll close in like 30 days. And I was like, that sounds good. Or I said 45 days or something. He accepted my offer. And then I quickly already had the deal underwritten and stuff. And like, it was a great deal. I had a whole plan, a project plan, whatever. And then I brought it to my dad for lending because I was like, hey, you saw what I did with the condo and the duplex. I really want to take a leap into this, 8-unit. And here's my plan. And I had like kind of my first deal sketch, I guess, showing like how it's going to work, how much money you'll make, blah, blah, the interest you'll make, the timeline, etc. I said I was going to refinance out. I was treating it like a burr. It was a commercial burr. So I was going to fix up the units, raise the rents. After a year, I was going to refinance it, give all the money back to the lender, then have the loan with a commercial bank. So then we could do it again. He accepted it after I had a track record and showed all that, thankfully, and he kind of got me going with that. So I will say, like, you can always find money out there. Whoever's listening, you just have to put together. And yeah, it's like my dad that I went to, but I was blessed to have like a dad that had that money and confidence in me.
So your dad bought this all cash, or you guys still use the lender for the down?
HELOC, right? Your dad was one of his HELOCs?
No, he just had cash. He just took it out of the stock market and
Okay.
basically bought it cash as my private lender. So then he lended on it. Yeah. So we formed it that way, and it was during COVID. So I got a great rate. It was like 6%.
So, you know, you bring up a really good tip. It's like one of the best forms of lending I get for, you know, some of my deals is like a self-directed IRA, self-directed 401k, right? Because like people are sitting on these $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 portfolios that are just sitting there until they retire, right? So I've seen a lot of people actually utilize that to lend on real estate. You know, it's collateralized by a real asset versus the stock market, which in my opinion is pretty much gambling, right? So, you know, I would just recommend people, if you're all looking for capital, that's a really great source.
And on top of that,
a large source of capital. What are you going to say, Martin?
And on top of that, a lot of your first investors might be your friends and family, and they might be having these types of IRAs, or they can easily convert their IRA into a self-directed one.
You bring up a really good point. Is most everybody who's listening, most likely your family is more or less middle class, going after the American dream, right? And most middle class people, where is their net worth tied up in, right?
Their house
and
the stock market,
401k, right? So that's typically your primary sources of capital when you're first starting and you're raising funds from family and friends.
Yeah, for sure. And it's important to know, like, if you can kind of put together, you know, the saying, it's like if you have a good deal, you can always find money, which is, it's true. But I would even say, like, go ahead.
I was gonna say, to your point, it's so important to paint a narrative, right? You got to paint a narrative for everybody involved in the business plan. And the way I kind of paint my narratives across all of my projects is I'll get it under contract and I'll do a loan request package, and I'll provide a nice, sexy package to the bank going over the purchase price, the renovation plan, the end valuation, comps, financials, information of the sponsors. I'm painting a beautiful picture of what this end product is going to be, right? And then what happens next? The appraiser comes. I provide them an appraisal package showing the beautiful end product. You know, I'm seeking investors. I show them an investor package showing the beautiful returns we're going to get from this property, right? And if you paint the picture correct along every stage of the way, lo and behold, your business plan comes to fruition in the way you expected it, right? So I think that's what people seem to forget. It's like being organized and having a clear vision and portraying that to all parties is really a powerful way to bring your project to fruition.
Yeah, it's just, you have to paint the story, you have to have the systems in place, and you have to almost you just have to have really good communication. If you don't have communication, nothing's ever going to work. So you have to be able to, like, show them why this deal is going to work without just saying, hey, it's going to work because I said it's going to work, right? You have to sell it. You have to sell the deal.
So let's fast forward to, like, you got this property, you bought it with cash, right? I'm assuming you bought it hard money, right? Like, bring us to the future. How did this deal perform versus perform based off your expectations versus reality?
Yeah. So my plan was to obviously renovate it, increase the rents, and just refinance it and hold it, which I did initially. And after it was all said and done, I bought it for like $470. I put like 120 into it. So let's say I'm all in for like 600. And when I refinanced, how long did the
project take? Because I remember you had some bad tenants. You had a couple of renovations that went a little crazy. That was definitely a huge learning experience for you.
Yeah. And it took, like, the whole process took like about 8 to 12 months. Like, I forget the exact length that it took, but it did have a lot of issues. It had tenants that I needed to evict, had non-paying tenants. It had like a flooded unit that I had to rehab the whole thing. It had like a whole roof I had to redo. Pretty much everything that was wrong with it was wrong with it. That could be wrong with it. And I looked at it like that was like college, right? I'm like, this is like a big deal. I'm gonna learn everything I can from this. So that's why I'm jumping into it. And I definitely did.
You
But
definitely
yeah,
had some solid resolve, because I remember some of the issues you were mentioning. I'm like, wow, one after the next. This guy,
it was
he's got guts.
Yeah, it was one thing after the next. This tenant was a pain in the butt. You always will get this one tenant that like thinks he owns the house, and he's like calling me like every day, and I'm like, Jesus, dude, like Kurt, like leave me alone. And trying to solve problems for them. But yeah, I learned about how to be a project manager, property manager. Learned how to deal with loans, learned how to deal with evictions, like the whole 9 yards. But to get back to Andrew, what he was asking is, basically after I did all that, refinanced it, got all my $600,000 back out to then pay my dad off, and then the bank owned the first lien at 600,000, and the property at that point it appraised for like 850,000, which I thought was low, and because I just think there wasn't enough comps, but it hit the number to basically I now own that property with none of my money in it, right? And it was cash flowing like $1,500 a month, and I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing.
It's free money at that point.
Yeah. So my plan was to just hold it and continue getting cash flow from it, and I held it for like another year or so. I continued stabilizing it, increasing rent slowly still. And I ended up selling it, and the reason I sold it was to just get that nest egg to then full blown go into real estate investing and start my companies and just have that nest egg to really, rocket ship me into entrepreneurship fully, which I always say, always try to keep your rentals as long as you can, because that's how you build wealth. But I just did the math, and I was, the return on investment to get that money out quickly to then put into the other stuff I have going on was far higher than holding that property at that time. But yeah.
Sure. So let's double click in that a little bit more, right? So, you more or less did your first deal, did your full commercial deal, right? And then you cashed it out, and then you kind of went full into flipping and investing. And since then, you've really leaned into partnerships, right? And has that been a key ingredient to your scaling, or what has been a key ingredient from you? I think going from what, like 2 doors to 40 doors, or what's your ascension path, and what helped you along that way?
Yeah. I mean, partnerships are like, you can go. What's the saying? If you're alone, you can go fast. If you're together, you can go farther, whatever. And that's like really true, because like obviously if you do stuff yourself, you can do it faster based on what your perception of it is, right? Because you're doing it. But if you have partnerships, you're going to be able to open so much more doors. You'll be able to open up new opportunities, and definitely grow a lot more. And that's what I found. And also you do less work, because the more partners you have, the more work that's spread amongst you. So you have so much more time back.
That's wrong though. You get to do the work that you want that does not feel like work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's less heavy, right? So if you get a partner that does something else that you really like, then work doesn't feel like work anymore. It feels just like you're building your dreams and your goals and your business, which is really fun.
Yeah. So it sounds like you kind of really leaned into the whole partnership thing. So let me ask you this, because I've worked with you. I think you're a pretty good collaborator. Like, what do you think are some best practices for long-term successful partnerships?
I think the first thing is just, do you like the person, right? Could you like sit down and actually hang out with this person on like a weekend and do stuff together? Or like, is this person like just annoy you, rub the wrong way? I think that's number one, because if someone can have all the tools you want as a partner, could help you explode your business, whatever. But if you're mentally just not happy every time you're around that individual, like you're not going to grow, or you're going to grow something that you hate. So I think that's number one. You want to have someone that you like. And thankfully I like Andrew and Artem. So
hey, to that point, we did a lot of trips. We did go-karts. We did a lot of cool activities, even during the mastermind before we even started working together. And I think that definitely facilitated that type of energy where we wanted to even do deals as well.
Yeah,
For sure. Because there's been plenty of times when Wendell pissed me the freak off, but I like the guy. So I'm like, oh, I'll let it slide.
exactly, right. I think that's number one, and number two is obviously you guys want to, like, your partners, you want to have like the same goals and aspirations, right? You don't want someone to be like, hey, I just want to get to like this amount and then be done. Like, if you want to do so much more, you don't want to tie yourself to that individual, especially in a business or like legally,
Totally.
because then they're going to hold you down as you're trying to grow, right? So that's number one. You want to talk about your vision and your goals. I mean, number two, you want to talk about your vision and your goals for sure.
And
then number
probably your
three,
exit strategy as well, because if somebody has a vision for holding an asset, and somebody else has a vision for, hey, if it hits this number, then we can sell. You guys might not be happy in the long term
Yeah.
in the partnership.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
the same. It's the same with a relationship, right? If somebody wants a short-term relationship, something casual, somebody wants a long-term relationship, there's got to be friction, right? And you know, I'm a long-term type of guy. I'm buy and hold. I build wealth and holding real estate. And some people are short-term. Some people are flippers. Some people want that quick buck, right? And I typically don't partner with people like that in buy and hold opportunities because that's, you know, it's just not our vision's not aligned.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And like you can get blinded by that because it's always fun. Just like Andrew said in relationships, right? When you start a relationship, it's always fun. You're like, wow, this is great in the beginning, right? And you might communicate that and be like, oh, like, yeah, they want short term, you want long term, like that'll be fine. It'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Lo and behold, like a few months later, when you're ready to like commit long term, they're like, no, and it ends up crashing and burning, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with business, right? You gotta have everything out front, laid out front, your ideas, your visions, goals, etc. You might even want to bring an attorney in to make sure it's all like legally documented for like what you're doing in the business, blah blah blah, what your jobs are. But yeah, it's super important to just, you know, communicate effectively up front and not just jump into it, especially with another person in a business, because it's like a marriage, right? And
Mhm.
sure, like in 5 years, 10 years, you might end up being at different points in your life that you could, you know, take a step or separate or go your separate ways. But like at that point, your business is probably to the point that you can do that. You don't want someone doing that when it's like the high like hustle time, like the first 1 to 3 years when you're really trying to grow. Like imagine that
Mhm.
person's like, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm out. Then you're like, holy shit, right? So it's really important to have that mindset, understand each other and communicate. But I think partnerships are very important, and abundance mindset is how you grow. And a
On
lot
that
of people
note,
forget about that.
what's something that you were really surprised by in partnerships versus working alone when you first got into them? What are some things that maybe like really stood out to you didn't even expect?
I would just say like just the fact that you're a team, right? And in the beginning, you might be so used to working yourself that you don't want to like delegate or like ask each other to do stuff or whatever. But once you start like doing that and realizing like, oh, this person's not like they're in it with me, right? They want to work together with me, and you start working together as a team and start, you know, being more cohesive. That's the part that you kind of realize like this can be something, and I need to form more partnerships, basically, you know.
Interesting.
And sometimes you don't get a chance to experience that because you're trying to build your business alone. Your head is so down in your business that you don't ever pick your head up, and like someone might offer to like help you and you don't even give it a chance because you're so preoccupied in your work. That once you like give that opportunity a chance as a partnership or whatever, like it just opens your mind. And you honestly, you never want to go back to trying to just work on stuff yourself.
Yeah.
Because
That's
it's
actually
lonely,
something
too.
that Andrew does for me. Is my head is all often down in the details, and he makes me pick it up and say, "Hey, that's where actually we're going." And to that, I'm actually really grateful to him often.
Yeah.
I love partnerships because I am a lazy mofo, right?
Yep.
And if you organize partnerships the right way, all the pieces fall into place for something magical to happen, and it doesn't require a lot of work at all. It just happens effortlessly, right? So that's why I love partnerships, and they work very well for my business model.
Love it. Let's transition now into what you've been up to lately. So you went from a buy and hold of a commercial unit, and now you're doing a lot more flipping and a lot of active work. And so what made you jump into that? And how do you determine what property you want to buy and hold as a rental and what you want to flip? And what are your strategies for those?
Yeah, so when I was in New England, mostly I was surrounded by, and obviously you guys know too, just multifamily, and it was it's a very good long-term rental market, right? Lots of multifamilies, lots of opportunity. Worcester's the multifamily capital of like the
New
United
England, for
States.
sure.
Yeah, at least New England. Every property is a multifamily. So I was big on that, and I still am. I think that's the way that you build wealth. But I was just honestly, I was sick of New England, so I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, because I just enjoyed it better. I was born in Charlotte, and I don't know, it just was in my blood to come back down here. But when I came here, and Andrew can attest to this too, all I did was look for multifamilies for like a year and a half. I was just looking, and I came across one that we ended up doing a partnership on. It was like
Holly was it Holly Hills?
No, it was the 32 unit first, then Holly Hills was after.
Oh yeah, Holly Hills we backed out. I was sorry.
Holly Hills we said no thanks. But like then I just had I just realized like I spent a year and a half finding this, which was awesome, right? Amazing to form that partnership, amazing to get that track record. We've been doing really well with it. It's finally turning the corner, and it's looking real good.
What is it? What is it? You didn't even tell people about it. It's just a mysterious thing.
Mysterious thing. Yeah. So yeah, we ended up buying a 32 unit. Me, Andrew, and Zach. I found the deal, and I was like, I can't raise this money. So I went to Andrew and Zach, and they're like, we can try to raise this money, and I think they raised in what?
A week.
Yeah,
Wow.
like a week.
That's
And
awesome.
we had some pretty crazy deadlines because the wholesale was pushing some like really tough deadlines on us.
Yeah, and I think that was like, I don't know if that was right after your 69 unit. So like
It
you were
was.
just getting momentum.
Yeah, we were on a high. We were like, oh, we could do this, and like we did it, but it was not fun.
Yeah, Zach's like, we can do it. Zach's kind of like the guy that's like, oh, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah,
It's like,
I mean,
okay.
and like in the back of my mind, I was like, we cannot do this, but we still did it.
I should have backup plans just in case, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the cool thing about partnerships, though. Like we were both all in it. We were all in it together. We all put down $20,000 too as hard money, or however much it was, and we were like, holy shit, we got to figure this out.
Yeah, we had 60 grand hard, so we had to make moves.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, we stressed through that. We figured it out. We got it closed. The whole, just to give you a synopsis of it, this was, I think this was you guys' first like bigger deal after the 69 unit, and it was like the first time we all really raised capital, went through the whole process, which was awesome and a huge learning opportunity. And then this project has been just continuous of learning lessons, because we've hit almost every bump on the road possible. Like the taxes went up, insurance had issues, tenants had major issues. We had massive vacancies because we were buying this 32 unit that was renting on an average of $450 a unit, and we were pushing it to like $1,000 a unit, which in the South, apparently it's a lot more complicated to do that quicker because you don't have as much like opportunity or not as much people that could afford that. Compared to New England, like we learned real quick about it.
Yeah, the demand for those higher enchilada units was not as high as we thought.
Yeah, but like fast forward, we got it done, we got it filled. We were going so fast, right? We were pushing so hard that our first property manager quit on us.
Wait. To put in perspective, we turned 26 of 32 units in a year in a market we had no contacts in.
Yeah. So like we were pushing fast and we were stabilizing this thing really fast. And again, like our first property manager quit because they were like, this is too much. So then we had to, like,
I think they referred to us as you high-paced New Englanders.
Yeah, they're like, this is too.
That's the only pace we know. What are you talking about?
Go slower in the South.
Yeah, I mean, like, what do you want us to do? Wait? It's like we have a plan. We got to execute it. You know.
We got moves to make.
But yeah, we turned 26 units in a year. We've already turned like pretty much, I think we turned every single one now, 32. We brought it from like 18,000 gross monthly revenue to now it averages around 30. So we pretty much doubled that. Now we're working on doing some more stabilizing that's going to bring the taxes down, everything. And we're probably going to get our investors like a consistent 10 to at best 15% returns if the taxes actually goes away. But yeah, anyway, like it was a really great opportunity, and project to really build character, honestly, learn a shit ton, and also open our mind to the fact that we could do more. And that's like how Andrew all of a sudden just like him and Zach just went full throttle and it was just buying up units. But back to me, like I loved multifamily, but I realized that the market that I was in was a lot more difficult to find those multifamily deals. When I come across them, I bring them to Andrew and Zach to try to partner on them because they're the kind of the money, they have the money to raise, which helps a lot. And I've been focusing more on fix and flips and new builds. And the main reason is because the market here that's the biggest opportunity. I'm not going to say that fix and flipping a new building is my number one favorite thing to do, but I'm meshing to the market and I'm aligning to how the market is to then create as much capital as I can within that realm and then put into more long-term investments. But sometimes,
ultimately investing is a dance, right? And if you're doing the wrong dance in the wrong market with the wrong music, you're going to fall over, my friend. It ain't got to be pretty.
yeah. If you're in like in a ballroom doing listen to classical music, you're not going to be doing like crip walk. Like it's just wild.
Let me bust out some Michael Jackson right now. Ain't got to work, my friend.
Yeah.
Wait, so I mean, but overall, Wendell, it sounds like you've had a pretty successful career as an investor thus far, right? So let's fast forward back to young Wendell, right? If you could fast forward back and give young Wendell 3 pieces of advice to be the most successful version of himself in the future, what 3 pieces of advice would you offer little baby Wendell over there?
I would say real estate focus wise, I would say try to buy as many as you can. That's number one, just because time is on your side. So like that'll let you get like more wealth and freedom just by like the equity that's going to grow without you doing any work, really. That's number one. But number 2 would just be like
so number one, time value of money.
Time value of money is number 1. Number 2 is like limiting beliefs. So like you don't know you can do something until you do it or try to do it. So like anytime that you think about doing something and your brain says like you can't do that, it's probably because you haven't done it before. But just because you haven't done it before doesn't mean you can't do it. So when you introduce yourself or surround yourself with people that are doing what you want to do, back to like masterminds and stuff, that's going to help you open up your mind more and get rid of those like limited beliefs. So I'd say like networking as soon as you possibly can and hanging out with people that are doing what you want to do as fast as you can. It's probably number 2.
So number 2, paradigm shift combined with mentorship.
Yep, exactly. And number 3 is really just, honestly, it's just like stop stressing so much. That's a good one, right? Because it's like you look at social media. Yeah, you look at social media, you look at all these people that are like doing amazing and highlight reels, right? And you're like, oh, I'm never gonna get there. They're so far ahead of me. Like I'm just so far behind. Like get off that shit. Stop watching that stuff and just do what you can do. Put your foot in front of your other one every single day. Just focus on the tasks that you can control towards the goal that you want, and you're gonna be successful. And I have to deal. I still have to remind myself that like daily, because sometimes you go on social media, start scrolling, and you're like, what the hell? You just start like getting the brain, it's just it's like negativity. It's just I don't know.
Yeah,
and it's not just social media. It's kind of like the way you live your life in general. Like I have a buddy that is very stressed about closing on a house, and he told me basically like for like whatever 30 or 60 days that it was closing, the entire time he was like worried, oh, like what if the bank doesn't approve, or what if it doesn't appraise, like this and this and this, driving himself crazy. But at the end of the day, there's really only 2 days he had to perform. On the first day, submit all the documents in the proper way, and on the last day, perform at the signature. And the time in between passed anyway. So you could either be super stressed or chill, but you're not really in control of the process. It's in the bank's hands, and you could either choose to be stressed or chill during that time, but that time is going to pass anyway. And that was a really big lesson for me. It's like a lot of the stuff that's out of your control, you're literally just making your own life, your quality of life worse by stressing yourself and worrying.
Yeah, I mean, just don't sweat the small stuff. It could be translated so many ways. I mean, like I offer 10% upside to people if they bring me a deal, right? into the scarcity mindset. They're like, I'm not giving 10% of equity to somebody for them bringing me a deal. It's literally a non-existent deal. I am giving you 10% of something that doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
If you bring me an opportunity, I will gladly give you 10% of an opportunity I would have never had if you didn't bring it to me, right? So that's more the abundance mindset. And I think a lot of people sweat over the small stuff, like, why am I giving away equity? It's like, I think the bigger thing is like, I would have never had this to begin with if you didn't even bring it to me, right?
Yeah, it's very short term mindset, right? It's like they're just not thinking about the future. And that comes with worrying a lot. You get stuck in like the present or like the what ifs. And it's like, stop thinking about the what ifs, especially if you can't control them. Just think about like the positive what ifs. Like, what if this loan falls through? Well, what if this loan doesn't fall through? Think about that, right? Think about those ones. Never think about the negatives. People get so caught up on those. And I do sometimes too. You got to remind yourself all the time. It's part of the human brain.
Yeah, we're all human, right? But I think the key is how quickly you snap yourself out of it into a positive mindset, right?
And that's a muscle you can train. That's a habit you can form.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
So I think we all know that gratitude and appreciation is the cornerstone of success. So why don't you just share a recent win that you're really, really proud of?
Yeah, I mean, a recent win. Let's see. I would say taking the dive and kind of starting that private lender company and closing my first loan in it. That's a big win, and I'm gracious for it because I just kind of found a way to do it. There's no like other explanation. It's like I wanted to do it in my mind, and I tried for like months to do like a partnership. I tried, to push things forward, and they all kind of fell through. And I just found a way to get through it and do it. And I'm just looking back, I'm just gracious that I just kept pushing forward to do it. It's like sometimes things will go wrong, and you just got to keep moving forward. So I'm gracious for that, the business sense. And then I always like to give a personal sense one too.
Well, I think you're grateful because you recently got engaged, right?
Not yet.
Oh!
You heard it here first, folks.
Cut that shit out.
Engaged. It's a fact. Right, the podcast. His girl's right over there. I was gonna say, we'll officiate the wedding on the podcast.
Yeah, it's coming in the near future, though. Yeah, but yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I think you should always look at what you're gracious about and what you're look at the gratitude and try to spread more gratitude within your mind. Because it's great to always look back on like where you came from and how far you've come, and stop just looking forward and like trying to chase the carrot, right? Because if you keep trying to just chase the carrot in front of you, you could really burn yourself out, because it's never going to be enough if you keep trying to chase the carrot. It's always going to be going in front of you. So you always want to look back and be gracious for what you have and what you've done. I think a really good book about that is like The Gap in the Gain. I don't know if you guys ever read that, but that was a fantastic book about that.
Gap in the Gain. Fantastic book. So, Wendell, where can listeners connect with you and learn more about you and what you're doing these days?
Yeah. So you can reach out to me on social media and anyway that way too. I made it easy. So just type in wendellbutler.com and there's a landing page for me.
Nice.
And that has everything there that you can reach out to me. You can subscribe to my newsletter, got my social media, got my businesses that you can click on and look at.
And if somebody wants to borrow money, they need some lending advice and some help, where can they find that?
Yeah, that's a flipfuellending.com is one. And I also do like transactional lending just personally myself for lower type lending options. But that's all on that page too. So wendellbutler.com. It's all on the header, all my businesses. Nice. Got my newsletter. And then some podcasts I was on, and yeah, reach out because I'm all about just helping people out. And if you're going to take action, and you have that mentality and you reach out to me, like I'm going to love it. I'm going to help you out. But if you reach out to me and don't take action, I probably won't really answer you as much. So take action and reach out to me.
Love it. All right, everybody. This has been another episode of the Freedom Real Estate Podcast with your boy Andrew and Artem, and a huge thanks to our guest Wendell Butler. Go find him on wendellbutler.com.
All right, Jive Turkeys, check out the Freedom Real Estate Podcast. We're coming at you hard with some real estate strategies. You better check it out and make it happen.
Bye.